I wish I had seen the signs, though, but it seemed that none of us did. This was the word of a colleague of mine who had just lost his 14-year-old son a few months ago. Hi, everyone. I'm Ibiere Addey, and today I want to talk about more than ever now. I'd like to present 5 cases before I actually talk about this initiative called More Than Ever Now. I've talked about my friend who's just lost his 14 years old. For me, or my child, it was racism and bullying. And then my child became a shadow of himself. His education started going down the drain. He became more introverted, slightly aggressive and depressive in tone. And over a short period of time, my son, who was always excited, who loved to cook and do different things, now became a depressive and almost suicidal person. So I've talked about 2 cases. So another person, another child that had so much potential, but no mentor. Their parents were always busy, vigilant, and their guardian, couldn't really pay much attention because there was no direct connection. So this particular potential child with so much, to offer to the world, turned to 2 different types of friends. Their normal friends from peer pressure and their digital friends. Digital friends like AI, social media, negative media, and as I mentioned, their friends with the peer pressure. And from all the information that they collected from these different angles, they were able to form what they thought could be the narrative of their life. And then there was the teenager who had an aspiration of the entertainment world. Well, they were told that they were a plus size and needed to conform to the right size in the entertainment world. As a result of this information, this person became bulimic. They started taking drugs to make themselves slim down or injections to keep them at a particular size. The insecurity increased so much that it's finally led to mental instability, illness, and you name it. Now, I've told you about 4 cases that are actually real scenarios that have actually happened around. Now, I want to tell you about a film that I watched last year. The film started beautifully. It was called Adolescent, based on a 13-year-old boy called James Miller. There was a murder in the school. A girl of similar age had been murdered. Now, the film wasn't created to figure out who murdered this girl or if this boy, Jamie Miller, actually murdered this girl. The film wasn't asking who did it. It was asking the question, what happens to a child before the world finally notices that he's lost? You see, Jamie was from a loving family, regular home. He goes to school, he comes back, he has all the chats and all the family time with his family. But when Jamie goes goes into his room behind closed doors, social media accumulation, emotional isolation, and the dangerous space that adults often don't see happens to him. For me, Adolescent reminds me that children do not always fall through the crack overnight. They are slowly taught to hide their pain until it turns into harm. When you're cooking or you're baking, you don't just put the ingredients together for the bread and then it becomes a bread. There is a process that happens before it finally, takes when you put all the right ingredients and then the bread, is left to, swell or, the yeast is left to take effect on the bread and then it forms the shape before you put it in the oven and then it goes through the baking period and it finally becomes the bread. Now, if you've put different things in that mixture for your bread, then obviously you get a different type of bread, what you don't expect. But if you put the right ingredients, then you get the right thing. Why am I using this analogy? This is how it is with humans, with children. As I said, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process of the different things that the child is being fed And that gives the end result eventually. And this is the story for Jamie. He was going through various things until he finally cracked and actually led to the murder of a girl he always admired, but had been humiliated through social media. So these were the cases I wanted to bring just to get you thinking, to just pause a little bit, reflect on the 5 cases. Has that happened around you? Has that happened to you or someone you know? Because before I want to talk about my initiative, I really want us to really have that picture in our mind to see what impact is really happening today. And when you have this picture in your mind, I'd like to ask some questions as well. Questions that we need to ask ourselves and perhaps answer if we do have the answers. The first question: what do we want as a legacy for the rising generation? Notice I said rising generation, not next generation, because we want them to develop. We don't want to just say something static, next generation, and people are moving in. They are rising, they're developing. So what legacy do we want to leave for them? What baton are we passing on to this rising generation? Like in the Olympics, in a race, you pass on the baton or you pass on the torch to the next Olympics schedule. So what are we passing to the rising generation? The next question is, how are we handling the responsibility given to us? For me, I'm a Christian, so by God, or whatever you believe, or even if not in a religious way, by your parents, how are we handling the responsibility given to us? You've brought a child into this world. How are you handling raising that child? Or you're a guardian, or you're an adult responsible, not necessarily a guardian. How are you handling that responsibility? And my last question, which I always ask myself, is my business worth the missed window? With all the different initiatives that I'm doing, traveling on business trips, having meetings and the rest, is that business worth me missing the window of making an impact in the rising generation or in my children's life? Am I that busy that I can't find time to listen or to pause and just be observant? Is it worth it? With all these questions in my mind, I'm saying I need to change the narrative. With all that I've seen, with what I've experienced, I'm saying I need to change the narrative. And I'm asking you as well, do you want to change the narrative? And that's why I came up with the topic for the initiative, More Than Ever Now. More Than Ever Now is an initiative that I'm driving and calling for action to people to say, it is time for us to be intentional about parenting, about mentoring, about raising the rising generation. It is time for us to be intentional about pausing from that busyness and looking around and making sure that, life matters and making sure that we are making an impact. It is time for us to be intentional about knowing what are our children watching? What are they reading? What are they eating? Yes, it's as much as what are they eating as well. Who are they talking to? What are they writing down in their private moments? What are they being called? What are they watching on social media? So, More Than Ever Now is a call to everyone. It's a call to me. It's a call to you. It's a call to everyone around me. Thank you. I'll leave you with this thought anyway. We cannot wait until the youth loses their identity or become dangerous before we ask who is shaping them. The real crime begins long before their arrest in silence, shame, loneliness, algorithm influence, and the failure to teach emotional literacy. Thank you again.